The coldness is the first thing I notice. Not the air in the room, which is still and warm with the remnants of the day, but the coldness of the steel door against my fingertips. It's a heavy, fireproof door, set into the wall of my walk-in closet, hidden behind a full-length mirror. My sanctuary. Our sanctuary. Or so I thought. The small digital screen is dark. The door is slightly ajar. My heart doesn't pound. It just stops. A dead weight in my chest. I push the door open. The motion is silent, smooth, a well-oiled machine of security. Inside, the small space is lined with black velvet. Little hooks, molded busts, and padded trays are screwed into the walls. And they are all empty. Every single one. The velvet seems to suck the light out of the room, leaving behind a void. A black hole where my life used to be. My history. My grandmother's locket, with its impossibly tiny clasp and the microscopic photo of her as a young woman. The diamond earrings my father gave my mother on their 25th anniversary, passed to me on my wedding day. The chaotic, beautiful sapphire ring I bought myself with the first big commission I ever earned as an architect.
Gone.
All of it. The air smells of nothing. Not metal, not velvet, not perfume. It smells of absence. I run my hand over an empty tray, the plush surface that once held a row of bracelets. I feel nothing but the soft, mocking give of the fabric. There is no sign of a break-in. No scratches around the keypad. No alarms were tripped. The code was used. A code only 2 people on this earth have ever known.
Me.
And my husband, Mark. If you've ever felt that sudden, gut-wrenching drop, the moment the world tilts on its axis and you realize nothing is as it seems, tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if you're new here, please subscribe. It helps me piece these stories together more than you can imagine. Our life, before the silence of the empty safe, was a carefully constructed masterpiece of domestic bliss. At least, that's how I saw it. We lived in a house I designed myself, a modern structure of glass and cedar that sat on a wooded lot overlooking a quiet lake. It was my magnum opus, a place of clean lines and open spaces, where the light changed with the seasons, painting the white walls in shades of gold and blue. Every morning, I'd wake to the smell of coffee. Mark was an early riser, a creature of habit and discipline. He'd be in the kitchen, dressed in his perfectly tailored suit, reading the financial news on his tablet. He'd have a cup waiting for me, black with 1 sugar, just how I liked it. He'd smile when I came in, a warm, easy smile that made the corners of his eyes crinkle. Morning, sunshine, he'd say, his voice a low, comforting rumble. He was a financial advisor, a man who dealt in futures and securities, in calculated risks and long-term gains. He was solid, dependable, the bedrock on which I had built my life for the past 10 years. Our evenings were quiet. We'd cook together, or he'd watch me sketch new designs at the big oak table, offering quiet encouragement. He loved to hear the stories behind my jewelry. He'd ask me to open the safe, his fingers tracing the intricate filigree on a Victorian brooch or the smooth, cool surface of a pearl necklace. "Each one is a piece of you, isn't it?" he'd say, holding a piece up to the light. "A chapter in your story." He was the one who encouraged me to get the collection properly appraised and insured. "These aren't just trinkets, Anna," he'd insisted, his tone serious. "They're assets. But more than that, they're your legacy. We have to protect your legacy." He handled all the paperwork, finding the best insurer, negotiating the premium. He presented the completed policy to me with a flourish, as if it were a gift. "There," he'd said, tapping the thick sheaf of papers. "Protected. Safe and sound." Looking back, I see the irony. It's so sharp it could cut glass. He wasn't protecting my legacy. He was calculating its value. He was appraising the cost of my heart. The collection began not with wealth, but with love. The first real piece was my grandmother's locket. It was silver, tarnished with age, and hung on a delicate, almost fragile chain. She gave it to me the day I left for college. Her hands, wrinkled and spotted with age, trembled as she fastened it around my neck. "This holds the memory of who we are," she'd whispered, her voice papery thin. Don't ever forget where you come from. Inside, one half held a faded picture of her and my grandfather on their wedding day. The other half was empty. That space, she'd said, tapping it with a long, elegant finger, is for the person who will share your future. Choose wisely, my love. I never put Mark's picture in it.
Something always held me back.
A strange, unnameable premonition, perhaps. I told myself it was because no modern photo could do the vintage feel justice. But the truth is, it felt like a sacred space, and some part of me knew he didn't belong there. Then there were my mother's diamonds. Simple, elegant studs. She wore them every day. They were a part of her, like the mole on her cheek or the sound of her laugh. My father had saved for 2 years to buy them for her. After she passed, he gave them to me, his eyes brimming with unshed tears. She would want you to have them, he'd choked out. She'd want you to shine. Every time I wore them, I felt her with me, her strength, her grace. I felt the enduring power of a love that death could not diminish. I built on that foundation. When I won the prestigious Harrison Award for my architectural design of a public library, I celebrated by buying myself a ring. It was a wild, ostentatious thing, a cluster of sapphires and small diamonds that looked like a constellation exploding on my finger. It was completely impractical and utterly beautiful. It represented my independence, my talent, my victory in a field dominated by men. Mark had laughed when he saw it. That's quite a statement piece, he'd said. It wasn't a compliment.
I see that now.
He preferred the classic, understated pieces. The ones that spoke of old money and quiet compliance. My ring was loud. It was mine. The collection grew. A string of pearls from a trip to Japan. A heavy silver cuff from a market in Morocco. An emerald pendant Mark had given me for our 5th anniversary. He had presented it in a velvet box at a fancy restaurant, and I had cried, touched by the gesture. Now, the memory of that night feels like swallowing acid. Every piece was a story, a memory, a milestone. It was a tangible map of my life, of the women who came before me, of the woman I had become. And now it was gone. The velvet shelves were barren, the hooks were naked. The only thing left was the ghost of their impression, the faint outlines of where they used to be. A history erased. I call Mark. My hands are shaking so badly, I can barely hold the phone. It rings 4 times, each one an eternity, before he picks up. Hey you. Everything okay? His voice is smooth, unruffled. The sound of a normal Tuesday morning. Mark, I say, and my own voice is a stranger's, thin and cracked. The jewelry. It's gone, there's a pause. Just a beat of silence. In that beat, I feel a universe of possibilities expand and collapse.
What?
What are you talking about? Gone where? He asks. The performance begins. The carefully modulated concern. The feigned disbelief. The safe, Mark. It's empty. Someone opened it. Oh my God, Anna. Are you okay? Did someone break in? Are you hurt? Lock the doors. I'm coming home right now. His rapid-fire questions are designed to sound like panic, but they sound rehearsed. Too perfect. Too much like a script. He tells me to call the police, and I do. My movement's robotic. 2 officers arrive within 20 minutes. A man and a woman. Their faces impassive, their presence filling our minimalist home with a heavy, unwelcome energy. They walk through the house, their boots loud on the polished concrete floors. They find no signs of forced entry. No broken windows, no jimmied locks. They stand in my closet, shining flashlights into the empty safe, their expressions hardening. The questions start, polite but pointed. Ma'am, who else had access to this safe? Just my husband and me. No one else? A cleaning service? Family members?
No.
No 1-inch. The male officer, Detective Miller, jots notes in a small black book. And you're certain you didn't just move them somewhere else for safekeeping? Sometimes with items of this value, his voice trails off, the implication hanging in the air. I feel a flush of hot, angry shame creep up my neck. No, I say, my voice sharper than I intend. I didn't misplace $500,000 worth of jewelry. He doesn't flinch. Of course not, ma'am. Just have to ask. Mark arrives then, bursting through the door with a convincing show of frantic energy. He rushes to my side, wrapping his arms around me, holding me tight. It feels like being embraced by a statue. He's cold, rigid. He takes over, answering the police questions with a calm authority that I, in my shock, lack. He details the contents of the safe, lists the most valuable pieces, even provides the name of our insurance company. He is the perfect, supportive husband. The victim. The police are visibly more at ease with him. He speaks their language, the language of facts, figures, and procedure. I am just the hysterical wife. As they're about to leave, Detective Miller turns to me. We'll do everything we can, Mrs. Peterson. But I have to be honest, without a forced entry, these cases are difficult. It's often someone the victim knows. He looks from me to Mark, then back to me. His gaze lingers for a moment too long. He doesn't suspect Mark. He suspects me. After they leave, the house is suffocatingly quiet. Mark makes me a cup of tea, his movements solicitous, gentle. Don't worry, Anna, he says, his hand rubbing my back in what should be a comforting circle, but it feels like sandpaper on my skin. It's all insured. That's why we have it. It's just stuff. We'll get through this, but it wasn't just stuff. And he knew it. He was the one who called it my legacy. And as he says the words, I look into his eyes, his clear, blue, honest eyes, and for the first time in 10 years, I see a stranger looking back at me. A very, very good liar. The days that follow are a blur of sterile phone calls and suffocating paperwork. The insurance company assigns a claims adjuster named Mr. Davies, a man with a perpetually skeptical tone and a voice that sounds like rustling paper. He asks the same questions as the police, but with a financial edge. He wants receipts, appraisals, photographs, proof of existence, proof of ownership. Each request is a small, fresh wound, forcing me to relive the loss, to quantify my memories in dollars and cents. Mark, my ever-efficient husband, takes charge. Let me handle this, Anna, he says, his voice laced with manufactured sympathy. You've been through enough. I'll deal with Davies and his bureaucracy. I let him. In my grief and confusion, I retreat, allowing him to become the buffer between me and the ugly, probing world. I spend hours sitting in my studio, staring at blank drafting paper, unable to draw a single line. The house I designed, once my pride and joy, now feels like a cage. The large glass walls that were meant to bring me outside and now feel like they're exposing me, leaving me vulnerable. I listen to Mark on the phone in his home office, his voice a low, confident murmur. He sounds so capable, so in control. He uses terms like itemized schedule, policy limits, and proof of loss. He is a pillar of strength. But at night, when the house is dark and silent, the doubt I saw in his eyes that first day begins to grow, sending out cold, thorny tendrils into the corners of my mind. I start noticing things. Small things, inconsistencies that snag at the fabric of his perfect performance. He stops leaving his phone face up on the kitchen counter. He starts taking calls on the back patio, pacing by the edge of the woods. When I ask who it was, he gives vague answers. Work, a client with a problem, the insurance guy again. He starts working late more often, coming home after I'm already in bed, smelling faintly of a perfume that isn't mine. I tell myself I'm being paranoid. Detective Miller's words echo in my head. It's often someone the victim knows. The stress is making me crazy, making me see betrayal where there is only concern. One night, I can't sleep. The silence of the house is a roaring in my ears. I slip out of bed and go to his office. I don't know what I'm looking for. I just have this compulsive need to find something, anything, that will either confirm my fears or silence them for good. His desk is neat, his files meticulously organized. But on a legal pad, half covered by a prospectus, is a series of scribbled notes. It's a list of my jewelry. Not all of it. Just the most valuable, easily sellable pieces. The diamond earrings. The emerald pendant. A Cartier watch my father had given me. Next to each item is a number. Not the appraised insurance value, but a much lower figure. It looks like a pawn shop ledger. My blood runs cold. It's circumstantial. It could be anything. It could be his own notes for the insurance claim, trying to estimate a lower-end value. That's what he would say. But I know, with a certainty that settles deep in my bones, that it's not. This is a list of assets to be liquidated. I put the pad back exactly where I found it and creep back to bed. Lying next to him, feeling the warmth of his body, listening to the steady rhythm of his breathing, I have never felt more alone or more afraid. The man I married is gone. In his place is a predator who is sleeping soundly after devouring my entire world. The gaslighting starts in earnest. I try to talk to him, to voice the anxieties that are eating me alive. I don't accuse him. I can't. I have no proof. Only a sick feeling in my gut and a list of numbers on a notepad. I tread carefully. Mark, I have a bad feeling about all of this. It doesn't make sense. The police aren't getting anywhere. He looks at me, his face a mask of pity. Anna, honey, you need to stop obsessing. It was a robbery. A terrible, random violation. But we can't let it destroy us. The insurance will come through. We'll replace what we can, but what if it wasn't random? I press, my voice trembling. He sighs, a long, theatrical exhalation of patience stretched thin. Who else would it be? You think one of our friends stole from us? You think I did it? He laughs, but it's a cold, sharp sound. Annie, listen to yourself.
You sound
unhinged. The trauma is getting to you. Maybe you should talk to someone. A therapist. He says it with such convincing care, such deep concern, that for a moment I almost believe him. Maybe I am going crazy. Maybe the grief of losing my mother's diamonds and my grandmother's locket has unmoored me from reality. He is so calm, so rational. I am so emotional, so broken. He uses my love for the jewelry, my history, against me. He frames my grief as instability. They were just things, Anna, he says softly one evening, as I sit staring into the empty safe, a nightly ritual I can't seem to stop. Your attachment to them. It was never entirely healthy. Maybe this is a chance for a fresh start. To let go of the past. He is not just a thief. He is a demolition expert, systematically dismantling my reality, my sanity, my sense of self, until all that's left is rubble and a woman who no longer trusts her own mind. He wants me to believe I am the author of my own misery. And for a little while I do. The turning point doesn't come in a flash of lightning. It arrives in the quiet hum of a rental car's engine. Weeks have passed. The police investigation has stalled. The insurance claim is mired in red tape. Mark has settled into a new routine of late nights and hushed phone calls, all under the guise of dealing with the aftermath. He's become more distant, his affection a hollow pantomime. The loving husband mask is slipping, revealing the cold, calculating stranger beneath. My paranoia has become my only companion, a constant, low-grade fever that keeps me awake at night and on edge all day. I need proof. I need something concrete to hold on to, something to prove that I'm not the crazy one. So, I do something I never thought myself capable of. I betray his trust, or what's left of it. I rent a car, a bland, forgettable sedan, and I buy a small GPS tracker, the kind you can get online for $100. One morning, as he's in the shower, I walk out to the garage, my heart hammering against my ribs, and I attach the magnetic tracker to the undercarriage of his sleek, black BMW. The act feels sordid, a violation. But his violation of me was so much greater. He has left me no other choice. I am no longer playing by the rules of our marriage. I am playing by the rules of survival. I follow him for 3 days. The first 2 are painfully normal. He goes to his office downtown, a gleaming tower of glass and steel. He has lunch with clients at expensive restaurants. He goes to the gym. It's all so mundane, so boringly legitimate, that I start to feel the tendrils of self-doubt creeping back in. He's right. I am crazy. I am stalking my own husband based on a gut feeling. I'm about to give up. On the 3rd day, a Friday, he tells me he has a late meeting with an important new client and won't be home for dinner. I watch him on the GPS app as he leaves the office at 5 o'clock sharp. But he doesn't head toward the financial district where the meeting is supposed to be. He drives south, away from the city, toward a newer, trendier part of town filled with luxury condos and boutique shops. My hands are slick with sweat on the steering wheel as I follow at a safe distance. He pulls into the underground garage of a building called the Ajar, a name that tries too hard to sound sophisticated. I park across the street, my car tucked between a delivery van and an SUV, and I wait. The minutes stretch into an hour, then two. The sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the street. My hope, the fragile thing, begins to wither. Maybe it is a client. Maybe he's just meeting them at their home. Just as I'm about to start the car and go home, to admit defeat, he walks out of the building. He's not alone. A woman is with him. She's young, maybe late 20s, with long, blonde hair and a laugh that's a little too loud. She's beautiful in a generic, Instagram model way. She loops her arm through his, and he leans down to kiss her. It's not a peck on the cheek. It's a long, lingering kiss, the kind he hasn't given me in years. The sight doesn't hurt as much as I thought it would. By now, my heart has been numbed by suspicion. What comes next, though, is what shatters me. As she turns her head to laugh at something he says, the last rays of the setting sun catch something on her neck. It glints, a familiar silver flash. My breath catches in my throat. It can't be. I grab the small pair of binoculars I brought, my hands shaking. I raise them to my eyes, fumbling with the focus wheel until the image sharpens. There, nestled in the hollow of her throat, hanging on its delicate, impossibly thin chain, is my grandmother's locket. The locket, the one piece that was never about money. The one piece that held the story of my family. He didn't just steal it. He didn't just sell it. He gave it away. He took the most sacred piece of my history and used it to adorn his cheap, disposable affair. He put my grandmother's legacy on the neck of a woman who probably didn't even know its story, who saw it only as a pretty bauble. In that moment, watching them walk away, laughing, his arm around her, her neck bearing my stolen past, the world doesn't just shatter. It turns to dust. All the love, the trust, the shared memories of a decade, they become meaningless, vaporized by the sheer, breathtaking cruelty of his betrayal. He didn't just want my money. He wanted to erase me. He wanted to take my story and give it to someone else. The drive home is a vacuum. I don't remember the traffic, the turns, the route I've driven 1,000 times. I am operating on some primal autopilot while the core of me has collapsed into a singularity of pain. When I walk into the house, it feels alien, a cold museum of a life that no longer exists. The minimalist furniture, the clean lines, the open spaces. It all seems like a mockery now, a stage set for a play whose lead actress just realized she's the only one who didn't know the story was a tragedy. He comes home a few hours later, humming to himself. He has a bottle of expensive wine in his hand. "The meeting went great," he announces, striding into the kitchen where I sit in the dark. "This new client is going to be huge for us, Anna. For our future." He flicks on the light. He sees my face, and his smile falters. "What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." "I have," I whisper. The ghost of my marriage, the confrontation that follows, is not the fiery, screaming match of movies. It's something far worse. It's cold and quiet and utterly devastating. I don't tell him I saw him. I don't mention the woman or the locket. I know instinctively that if I reveal my hand, he will find a way to twist it, to turn it into another one of my paranoid delusions. Instead, I just let the dam of my suppressed anxieties break. I talk about his late nights, his secretive calls, the distance between us. I talk about the feeling that I'm losing my mind, that I don't know what's real anymore. I give him the rope, and he uses it to hang me. He is a master of psychological warfare. He listens patiently, his expression a perfect blend of concern and sorrow. And then he begins to dismantle me, piece by piece. "Anna, my love," he starts, his voice dripping with condescension. "I know this has been hard on you. The robbery, it's shaken you to your core. But you can't let it poison everything we have." He explains away the late nights as meetings with the insurance company, with lawyers, with the police. I've been trying to shield you from the ugly details, to carry this burden for you. I thought I was protecting you. He tells me the secret calls are from his brother, who is having marital problems of his own. I didn't want to worry you with his drama on top of everything else. Every lie is seamless, plausible, designed to make me feel guilty for my suspicion. The final, crushing blow comes when he addresses my feelings of insanity. He kneels in front of me, taking my hands in his. His grip is firm, paternal. I think, he says, his voice soft and low, that you're suffering from depression, Anna. A delayed grief response from losing your mother, compounded by the trauma of the theft. You're projecting your pain and anxiety onto me, onto us. Because it's easier than facing the real source of your sadness, he suggests a doctor. He suggests medication. He suggests that my reality is flawed, that my perceptions are skewed by a chemical imbalance in my brain. He makes me feel so small, so broken, so utterly and completely crazy, that I start to believe him. The fight goes out of me, replaced by a vast, empty exhaustion. Maybe he's right. Maybe this is all in my head. The image of him kissing the blonde, the glint of the locket, perhaps it was a trick of the light, a phantom conjured by my grieving mind. He has poisoned the well of my own intuition. I am now an unreliable narrator in my own life story. He holds me, rocking me gently as I sob, not with anger anymore, but with a profound and hopeless despair. He whispers comforting words into my hair. It's okay, baby. We'll get through this. I'll help you get better. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere, and in that moment, held in the arms of my betrayer, I feel a despair so deep it has no bottom. He hasn't just stolen from me. He has colonized my mind. For 3 days, I exist in a fog. I move through the rooms of my house like a ghost. I let Mark make me appointments with a therapist he's found, a Dr. Albright. I let him fill my prescriptions for anti-anxiety medication, which I dutifully swallow with a glass of water each morning. The pills do nothing but dull the edges of my pain, leaving me in a state of muted sorrow. He is relentlessly kind, oppressively attentive. He makes my meals. He runs my baths. He checks in on me constantly, his voice a syrupy whisper of concern. How are you feeling, honey? Are the pills helping? It's a prison of care. He is my warden and my own mind is the cell. On the 3rd night, I am lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, when something shifts. It's not a sudden epiphany. It's a slow, cold burn that starts in the pit of my stomach. It's the anger, the pure, undiluted rage that my grief and his gaslighting have been suppressing. It rises up through the chemical haze, sharp and clear and bright. He didn't just betray me. He didn't just steal from me. He tried to convince me that my own perception of reality was a symptom of mental illness. He tried to drug me into compliance. He tried to break my mind so he could control the narrative. The image of the locket on her neck flashes in my mind, no longer hazy or uncertain, but stark and undeniable. It was real. My intuition wasn't a symptom. It was a warning. The fog begins to lift, burned away by the heat of my fury. I am not crazy. I am not broken. I am a woman who has been profoundly wronged. And I am done being a victim. I slip out of bed, moving with a newfound silence and purpose. I go to my office and sit in the dark, the cool glow of my computer screen illuminating my face. The sadness is still there, a deep, aching bruise on my soul. But it is no longer the only thing I feel. Now it has a partner, a cold, hard, crystalline resolve. He thinks I'm a fragile, emotional artist, easily manipulated and controlled. He thinks he's won. He has underestimated me. He mistook my kindness for weakness, my grief for instability. He has forgotten that I am an architect. I don't just design beautiful things. I understand structure. I know how to build things up, and I know how to tear them down. And I am about to dismantle his entire life, brick by brick, lie by lie. My plan begins to form, not in a rush of emotion, but with the cool, calculated precision of a blueprint. Phase 1. gather irrefutable evidence. Phase 2. Neutralize his weapon. Phase 3. Construct the trap. He wanted a fresh start. I'm going to give him one. A start so fresh, he'll have nothing left but the clothes on his back and a future he never saw coming. I turn back to the computer and begin to type. The first search is for the best private investigator in the city. The war has begun. My first call is to a man named Frank. His voice is gravelly, his manner blunt. He's an ex-cop with no time for emotional preamble. I lay out the situation with clinical detachment, stripping away the pain and leaving only the facts.
Mark.
The mistress. The apartment at the Ajar. The locket. I need proof, I tell him. Photographs. Her name. Where she works. Everything. I need a file so thick it could stop a bullet it'll cost you, he says. Money is no longer an object, I reply, the words feeling powerful on my tongue. Discretion is, while Frank gets to work, I begin my own investigation. I become an archaeologist of my own marriage, digging through the layers of our shared finances. Mark handled everything. He paid the bills, managed the investments, filed the taxes. He called it taking care of me. I now see it for what it was, control. I log into our joint accounts, my fingers flying across the keyboard. I find what I expect, small, untraceable cash withdrawals. Payments to restaurants I've never been to. But he's clever. There are no large, incriminating transactions. No rent payments for a secret apartment, no lavish gifts. He's been funding his second life by skimming, taking small amounts over a long period, like a parasite bleeding its host dry. Then I dig deeper. I access the statements for his business credit card, the one I'm not supposed to know about. And there it is. A charge from a high-end lingerie store. A florist that specializes in extravagant bouquets. A recurring monthly payment, disguised as a consulting fee, to a holding company I've never heard of. I trace the company's registration. It's a shell corporation, and the sole director is listed as Amber Collins. My hands go numb. It's her name. The name of the woman wearing my grandmother's legacy. He hasn't just been funding their dates. He's been paying her. It's not just an affair. It's a transaction. The knowledge doesn't hurt. It solidifies my resolve. This is not about a man who fell in love with someone else. This is about a con artist and his accomplice. While gathering my ammunition, I play my part. I am the broken, healing wife. I go to my therapy appointments with Dr. Albright, a woman Mark handpicked. I talk about my anxiety and my unhealthy attachment to material objects. I let her nod sympathetically and scribble notes. I dutifully take the pills he gives me each morning, only to spit them into the toilet as soon as he leaves for work. I let him see me looking fragile, lost. I lean on him, asking for his help with small things, making him feel strong and in control. I don't know what I'd do without you, Mark, I say one evening, my head on his shoulder. You're my rock, he strokes my hair. I'll always take care of you, Annie, he says, his voice thick with smug satisfaction. He thinks he's managing my decline. He has no idea I'm managing his. A week later, Frank delivers. A thick manila envelope lands on my doorstep. Inside are photographs. Crystal clear, long-lens photos. Amber Collins, leaving the Ajar in the morning. Amber Collins, driving a new Mercedes that I now know I paid for. Amber Collins, having lunch with her friends, laughing. And in every single photo, she is wearing a piece of my jewelry. My mother's diamond earrings. My sapphire ring. My Moroccan silver cuff. It's a grotesque fashion show of my stolen life. The final photos are the most damning. They show her meeting a man in a coffee shop. The man is a known fence, a dealer in high-end stolen goods. She is showing him the emerald pendant. My pendant. The one Mark gave me for our anniversary. The PI's report is concise. Amber Collins is a lifestyle influencer with an expensive taste and no visible means of support. Her apartment is leased through the shell corporation Mark set up. She has a prior arrest for shoplifting. She is not a lover. She is a co-conspirator. I now have everything I need for Phase 1. Phase 2 is the crucial move, the one that will turn his own plan against him. I call Mr. Davies, the insurance adjuster. Mr. Davies, I say, my voice steady and clear. This is Anna Peterson. I'm calling about my claim. Yes, Mrs. Peterson. We're still waiting on some final documentation from your husband. There's been a change, I say. I need to withdraw the claim. There is a stunned silence on the other end of the line. Withdraw it? Ma'am, the claim is for nearly $500,000. Are you sure? I am, I say. I have new information. Information that suggests this may not be a standard theft. I need to handle this a different way. Please close the claim for now, but keep the case file open. I may be in touch again. Can you elaborate on this new information, Mrs. Peterson? Not at this time, I say. But trust me, you'll be the first to know. I hang up, a cold smile touching my lips. I have just removed his safety net. He thinks there's a $500,000 payout waiting for him at the end of this. A golden parachute for his new life. But the parachute is gone. And he's still flying toward the ground at terminal velocity. Phase 3 is the trap. I wait 2 days, letting the insurance cancellation process through the system. Then I call Detective Miller's direct line. I don't give my name. I pitch my voice lower, disguising it. I have a tip for you, I say. Regarding a string of high-end jewelry thefts, I describe several of my own pieces, the most recognizable ones. There's a woman selling them. Her name is Amber Collins. She lives at the Ajar. She's been meeting with a fence named Jimmy, the Weasel Gallo. You should check her social media. She's stupid enough to be wearing the stolen goods in her photos. I give him her Instagram handle and hang up before he can ask any questions. The pieces are now in place. The evidence. The neutralized insurance policy. The anonymous tip. All that's left is to wait for the man who thinks he's a mastermind to walk straight into the cage I've built for him. The waiting is the hardest part. For a week, nothing happens. I continue my performance. I am the docile, medicated wife. Mark grows more confident, more brazen. He talks about the future, about selling the house. It has too many bad memories now, don't you think? He says one night over dinner. We could move to the coast. Start fresh. Just the two of us. He's not just planning his escape. He's planning to take half the value of the house I designed, the house I built, with him. He wants to leave me with nothing. But his timeline is about to be rudely interrupted. The end comes on a Thursday. It's raining, a steady, dreary drizzle that streaks the glass walls of our house, making the world outside look blurred and indistinct. It's fitting. Mark has been living in a blurred reality for months, one where he is the hero of his own story, the clever man outsmarting his fragile, foolish wife. Today, things are about to come into sharp focus. He comes home early, looking pleased with himself. He's carrying a bottle of champagne. To us, he says, popping the cork with a loud bang that makes me jump. I spoke to Davies at the insurance company today. He said the claim is in the final stages of approval. The check should be cut next week. He's lying. He hasn't spoken to Davies. If he had, he'd know the claim was dead. He's just spinning his web, preparing me for the big payday he thinks is coming. He pours 2 glasses of champagne, his movements expansive, triumphant. I was thinking, he says, handing me a glass. Once the money comes through, we should book that trip to Italy we always talked about. A second honeymoon. We deserve it after all this stress. He's standing in the middle of the living room, a portrait of smug success, a predator celebrating his kill before the animal is even dead. And that's when my phone rings. The sound cuts through the air, sharp and insistent. It's a number I don't recognize, but I know who it is. I've been waiting for this call. I answer, my hand perfectly steady. Hello. Mrs. Peterson? This is Detective Miller with the city police. Mark's smile freezes on his face. His eyes dart toward me, a flicker of something, not panic yet, just confusion. Yes, detective? I say calmly. I press the speakerphone button. Miller's voice fills the quiet room, crisp and official. Ma'am, I'm calling with an update on your case. I'm happy to inform you that we've made an arrest. Mark's glass trembles in his hand. A little champagne sloshes over the rim onto the floor. He doesn't seem to notice. We acted on a tip, Miller continues, and we've recovered a significant portion of your stolen property from the residence of a Ms. Amber Collins. The name drops into the silence like a stone into a deep well. Mark's face, which was flushed with victory moments before, goes completely white. He looks like a man who has just been shot but hasn't yet registered the pain. She's in custody now, the detective says. And ma'am, this is the strange part. She's claiming the items were gifts. Gifts from her boyfriend. There's a pause. I can hear the faint sound of a siren in the background of the call. She gave us his name, ma'am. A Mr. Mark Peterson. We'll need you and your husband to come down to the station to identify the recovered items and provide a formal statement. The room holds its breath. The rain patters against the glass. Mark just stands there, paralyzed, the champagne glass still in his hand, his mouth slightly open. The gears are turning in his head, smoke pouring from the engine as he tries to calculate a new reality, a new lie. He finds his voice. It's thin, Reedy. A misunderstanding, he stammers, looking at me with wide, pleading eyes. It's all a terrible misunderstanding, Anna. He turns his attention to the phone, as if he can reason with the disembodied voice of the law. Detective. This is Mark Peterson. My wife is right here. This woman, Amber, she's a disgruntled former employee. She's lying. She must have stolen the jewelry from me somehow. It's a weak lie. Pathetic. He's flailing. He tries another angle, turning back to me, his voice dropping into a desperate, conspiratorial whisper. Anna, listen to me. I was going to surprise you. I found the thief myself. I got the jewelry back. I was going to give it all back to you on our anniversary. I put it in storage for safekeeping. She must have broken in and taken it from there. We can tell the police that. It'll be fine. He's breathing fast now, his eyes wild. He sees one last escape hatch. The one he built himself. It doesn't matter, honey, he says, a hysterical edge to his voice. Even if they don't believe us, it's okay. We have the insurance. The check is coming. We'll just tell them it was all a mix-up. The insurance will pay for everything, and we can just walk away from this whole mess. He's looking at me, searching for an ally, for his partner in crime. He expects me to nod, to go along with the story, to save him, to save us. He still thinks we're a team. I take a slow, deliberate sip of my champagne. The bubbles fizz on my tongue. I look him directly in the eye. My voice, when I speak, is quiet. It is calm. It is the coldest sound he has ever heard. What insurance, Mark? He stares at me, his brow furrowed. What are you talking about? Our policy. The one with Davies. The $500,000 policy. I allow myself a small, thin smile. It doesn't reach my eyes. I canceled that policy 2 weeks ago. The color drains completely from his face, leaving behind a pasty, gray pallor. He looks like he's going to be sick. What? He whispers.
Why?
Why in God's name would you do that? Because, I say, setting my glass down on the coffee table with a soft click, I knew the jewelry wasn't stolen in a robbery. I knew you took it. And filing a false insurance claim is a felony, Mark. I believe they call it insurance fraud. A federal offense. He just stares, his mind utterly broken, unable to process the information. He is a chess player who has just discovered his opponent is playing a completely different game, on a board he never even knew existed. So you see, I continue, my voice as gentle as a razor's edge, when the police arrested your girlfriend, wearing my mother's diamonds, it stopped being an insurance matter. It became a police matter. Grand larceny. Conspiracy. And now, thanks to your brilliant confession just now, attempted insurance fraud. You didn't just try to steal my jewelry, Mark. You tried to steal our future. And now, thanks to your greed and your breathtaking stupidity, you have neither. The scream that tears out of his throat is not a sound of anger. It is a sound of pure, primal terror. It is the sound of a man in absolute free fall, with no parachute and no ground in sight. It is the sound of a carefully constructed world, built on a foundation of lies, collapsing into a black hole of his own making. In the background, I can still hear Detective Miller on the phone. Mr. Peterson? Sir? Are you there? I pick up the phone. He's here, Detective. I say, my voice perfectly calm. We're on our way. The aftermath is not a clean, swift victory. It's a slow, messy demolition. The legal proceedings drag on for months, a grueling process of depositions, hearings, and endless paperwork. Mark, faced with irrefutable evidence, Frank's photos, his own financial records, Amber's testimony, has no choice but to cooperate. Amber, in a desperate bid for leniency, tells the police everything. She sings like a canary, detailing how Mark approached her, how he laid out the plan. He had told her it was a brilliant, victimless crime. They would fake a robbery, collect the huge insurance payout, and sell the jewelry on the black market for a second payday. They would start a new life together, funded by my legacy. She cries on the stand, painting herself as a naive girl manipulated by a charismatic older man. I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. Mark loses everything. His desperate attempt to pin it all on Amber fails miserably. He is convicted of grand larceny, conspiracy, and insurance fraud. His financial advisory license is permanently revoked. His name is dragged through the mud in the local papers. Prominent advisor convicted in jewel heist and love triangle, he is sentenced to 5 years in prison. The day of his sentencing, he looks at me from across the courtroom, his eyes hollowed out, his face aged a decade. He is looking for something: pity, remorse, a sign of the woman he married. He finds nothing. I am a placid lake, my surface unruffled by his storm. The divorce is finalized while he is in prison. I am awarded the house, our remaining assets, everything. His name is stripped from the life we built, leaving me the sole architect of my future. The police return my jewelry in a series of numbered plastic evidence bags. It feels strange to see them this way, clinical and sterile, stripped of their warmth and history. I take them home and lay them out on a black velvet cloth on my dining room table. I pick up my grandmother's locket. It feels cold in my hand. I open the tiny clasp. The picture of my grandparents is still there, faded and timeless. The other side is still empty. For a long time, I just look at it, at all of it. The pieces feel tainted, the memories they hold now interwoven with the ugliness of Mark's betrayal. The emerald pendant he gave me feels like a lie against my skin. The pearls we bought in Kyoto are now just a reminder of a trip that was a carefully constructed performance. I realize that he was right about one thing. It is time for a fresh start. But on my own terms. I call a reputable auction house. I sell almost all of it. I sell the emerald pendant, the Cartier watch, the pearls, the diamond bracelets. I watch as the items are cataloged, photographed, and sold to strangers who will build their own memories with them. I feel no sadness, only a sense of release. It is a shedding of a skin, a letting go of a past that no longer serves me. With the money, I don't buy new things. I buy experiences. I buy freedom. I sell the house, that beautiful glass box full of ghosts. I put my belongings in storage, and I buy a one-way ticket to Spain. Then another to Argentina. Then another to Thailand. I spend a year traveling the world, not running from my past, but walking toward my future. I sketch in notebooks in Parisian cafes. I hike mountains in Peru. I learn to cook in a small village in Italy. I fill my life not with objects, but with moments, with light, with color, with the kindness of strangers. I kept only 2 pieces from the collection. My mother's diamond earrings, because they are a reminder of true, unconditional love. And my grandmother's locket. I still wear it every day. It feels different now. It is no longer just a symbol of my past, of the women who came before me. It is a symbol of my survival. It is a reminder that I come from a line of strong women who endured, who rebuilt, who loved fiercely. It reminds me that I am the architect of my own life, and that after the demolition, you can always build something new. Something stronger. Something more beautiful. The empty space inside the locket remains empty. I've come to realize it was never meant for someone else. It was meant for me. For the woman I was, the woman I am, and the woman I am still becoming. Thanks for being here with me through this. Rebuilding a life from the ground up is something I think many of us can understand in our own way. Subscribing to the channel helps bring more of these stories to life, and I'm grateful for every one of you.